Have you ever heard of the Fat Ho Burger? That's a real thing. It's a burger joint owned and operated by a 23-year-old black woman by the name of Lakita Evans. 23 years old, man. Can you believe that? Kind of reminds me of another product. You ever hear the Slim Jim? No, I'm not talking about the fake beef jerky. I'm talking about little brother to the Super Duke. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And of course, every girl's favorite toy, the Pocket Rocket. You know, it was invented first in the 1950s by a supermodel movie star by the name of Cynthia Thudsucker. True story. Makes you wonder what kind of movie she was making. You know what these things all have in common? Same thing as the Dell computer, the Mary Kay line of beauty products, the Buttonfly Jean, and just about anything else you can find in your home or car. They are the creative brainchild of a free-thinking, freewheeling, free-market society, baby. So if you're ever single and hungry for a whole burger, you can thank your lucky stars for good old American capitalism, baby, with a capital C. So it's kind of got me wondering why it is that more and more lately I'm starting to hear these unkempt, snaggle-toothed buffoons like these next people say what they're saying.
No, I don't like corporations. I don't like capitalism, frankly.
Capitalism sucks! Capitalism is not freedom!
We're socialists and we're feminists, and we think that the basic problem in our country is that it's capitalist.
And then, of course, I came across this guy.
We are all aware of the problems capitalisms have caused in the last 100 years or so. Check out the history of the US during the last 100 years. It's all a capitalistic market economy that has driven us to where we are today.
Okay. Well, capitalism is today. But then, check this dude out.
Capitalism is destroying humanity. Capitalism is evil. A selfish and grasping desire for possession. Capitalism is our adversary. And we, the people, must rise up and ring out its death knell.
Oh boy, what is this guy, the devil? No wonder he doesn't like capitalism. What is capitalism? Greed, money, and power. Actually, no. It's actually private ownership, free market society, and regulation of those free markets through the private sector. It's as simple as that. So why is it then that whenever you talk to these young, naive, impressionable people who have never held down a job or a career, who have never bought a house or had a family, or for the most part, who haven't so much as voted on a president, these are the kinds of things you hear.
We want the government not to say, this is a free market doing whatever the hell it wants to do.
Well, that's why I advocate communism.
I love socialism.
I'd replace it with libertarian communism.
I like socialism.
You are for socialism then?
Yes!
How
We're the
so?
Socialist Party USA, Democratic Socialist.
Oh, and these people sound so sure of themselves too, but it makes me wonder if they even know what socialism is. Now, I'm sure if you asked them, they could give you the whole skinny on socialism. The 165-year history of socialism, from authoritarian socialism to democratic socialism, as if those two things weren't mutually exclusive. Marxist socialism, free society socialism, all of it comes down to the same exact thing. Socialism is an economic model in which the state owns all of the means of production. Now, our friends over in the American Socialist Democratic Society would argue that no, socialism is about the people. It's about equality. It's about getting rid of the class structure. It's about redistributing wealth from all the people who made it to all the people who didn't make it. But they cannot give you a shred of evidence that that is what socialism actually achieves without causing an untold degree of misery. And then you've got our advocates of communism, who obviously don't seem to realize that communism is really just another form of socialism, the one fundamental difference being that in communism, the state owns all of the fruit of production. There are no free markets. There is no private ownership, or there is no benefit of private ownership, and there is no competition from the private sector regulating those markets. No, the state knows better than the people. It'll do all the work for them. You see, the bottom line is, whether it's socialism or communism, a very small few sit at the top and own all the power, whereas all of the masses of other people, well, they can go piss in the wind, or eat snow, or pound sand, or do whatever it is people do in a communist, socialist society. Yet, this is what drives me the most nuts. Whenever you talk to these young, indoctrinated, unseasoned Ivy Leaguers or these Occupy Wall Street movement people, they speak with such deep intellect and superiority. Yet, sometimes, every now and then, what they say reveals the answer to the issue that they're having. But they're so oblivious that even as they're saying the answer, they don't know it. Watch.
We call ourselves a capitalist society, but when you have a government that bails out the wealthiest free institutions, that's no longer really capitalism, because capitalism should let failing businesses fail.
Did you catch that? Did you hear it? Everything that this person hates about capitalism, and I have to assume he is a representative for his movement, everything they despise about capitalism, to his own admittance, isn't even capitalism anymore. The words came right out of his mouth. Indeed, the government that they think is going to be the answer to all of their problems is the exact same government that just stepped in and created every single thing that they hate about the system. And they know it. It's actually pretty easy to see. Every time the government steps in and hijacks your capitalist society, takes your capitalism away from you, well, everything goes to hell in a handbasket real fast, as our friend, our intellectual giant on the left, just got through pointing out. So what actually happened? You see, when you ask someone, generally from the left, about what they think runs capitalism, they always talk about greed. It's always greed. But what they always fail to acknowledge is the fact that capitalism also is very fearful. Fear of the free market, fear of losing your clients, fear of losing out to the competition. Capitalism has an inherent system of checks and balances. Greed and fear keep each other in check. It's more like a desire to succeed versus an aversion to failure. However, that's why in Western capitalism, specifically a constitutional republic like the one that we have, the government does have regulation. Now, the U.S. capitalist system has always been very suspicious of monopolies, companies that get too large and own too much of a market share, and the U.S. government has always worked to break them up, i.e. Standard Oil, AT&T, U.S. Steel was a monopoly, and that is where our United States government has failed us today with these bailouts to the tune of billions of dollars to companies that they should have been allowed to fail in a capitalist society, as our friend on the left pointed out, or deemed a monopoly and broken up. But the government didn't do it this time. You see, they undermined capitalism. When you bail out these huge corporations, you basically send the message that you can't fail. You no longer need an aversion to failure, i.e. fear. Therefore, all that's left in the system is this desire to succeed. And that's when it becomes true greed. Enter the most dastardly economic model humanity has ever devised for itself, corporatism. As if you need any introduction to what corporatism is, it is the idea that these large, oversized corporations and these large, oversized governments work symbiotically. The corporations feed the governments all the money, while the governments feed the corporations all the power. And all the little people, all the private citizens, well, they can go piss in the wind, or eat snow, or pound sand, or do whatever it is people do in a corporatist society. Wait a minute. Where's the private ownership? Where are the free markets? Where's the healthy competition regulating the markets? The people have no power. It's all the corporation, because in corporatism, not only do the large multinational global corporations own all of the means of production, they also own all of the fruit of production. Therefore, this huge, evil economic model called corporatism is nothing more than socialism and communism combined. But for those of us who have no real clear vision, Corporatism often gets disguised as capitalism because instead of the government having all the power, the corporations have all the power. But in the end, what's the difference? So the question is, are we going to learn from history, or are we just going to sit back and talk about it? Why would what was once the freest society the world has ever seen, with free enterprise, liberty, rights, and freedom, choose to trade off their entire economic system for one that has proven time and time again to utterly fail its people? Is it for equality and equal opportunity? Because here in Western capitalism, homosexuals are small business owners. Blacks are entertainers and athletes. Women and feminists are politicians. Even Hindus and Muslims are small business owners and opportunists, and dare I say, free capitalists. Even age is no boundary to success here in Western capitalism. Or perhaps it's moral reasons. Maybe we're willing to trade off our capitalism because people on the left have actually bought into the idea that capitalism and capitalists aren't moral. Well, in the U.S., there are 17,000 nonprofit charity foundations, or branches thereof, devised primarily by free enterprise capitalists to feed, clothe, and shelter those in need. There are preservation societies, humanitarian efforts, not-for-profit schools, and medical facilities for the medically challenged or disadvantaged. Many of them service local communities, while others operate across borders and in other continents. And what socialist state could ever say that? Russia? China? North Korea? Any one of the African socialist states? I don't think so. So then it must be the class structure, right? Look, we get out of life what we put in it. The truth is the truth is the truth. We reap the benefit of our effort. And for those of you out there who believe that for some of us failure is inevitable, then I say this. Nothing inspires us not to greatness, but to simple human goodness more than the ones around us who pour their hearts and their souls into a thing and at the very last minute fail miserably. That's where we find our compassion and our charity. That's where we find our social community. But in a socialist society where individual human difference is not praised but often punished, who will you look to for inspiration? Whose ideas will be celebrated? In a free society that's made up of free individuals, socialism is not the answer. You want the solution of a free people? Go ahead, occupy Wall Street. But don't forget Pennsylvania Avenue. Occupy them too. And tell those bastards they can take corporatism and shove it where the sun don't shine, because we want our free market, free society back. If the government wants to have limited regulations controlling fair trade practices and breaking up these large monopolistic entities, by all means, please feel free to do so. But it is only through free markets and Western capitalism that this republic of ours is ever going to be able to give people like 23-year-old Lakita Evans and adult movie star Cynthia Thudsucker the opportunity to bring us the Fat Ho Burger and the Pocket Rocket. Not to mention the millions of other dreamers that want to make this a free society. So yeah, corporatism, very bad. Freedom, very good. Comment down below. You can even subscribe, like, and share if you want. You don't have to. It is a free country. Anyway, thanks for sticking this one out with me. I'm the Layman. Peace out.